The room went quiet the second she laughed. Not a cruel laugh, not loud either, just enough to cut. A decorated female SEAL Admiral, sharp uniform, sharper eyes, smirking at a single dad standing alone with his phone pressed to his ear. She mocked the call sign she overheard, a name that sounded weak to her. "Iron Ghost," she said under her breath. And in that moment, she had no idea that those two words were about to stop her cold. Before the end of that call, before the truth came out, every single person in that room would see kindness, courage, and humility in a way none of them expected. If stories like this move your heart and remind you of the good still left in the world, take a moment to subscribe, like, and comment on the channel. Kindness Lights. Your support helps these stories reach more people who need them. The man's name was Daniel Reed. He didn't look like a hero. He wore faded jeans, worn sneakers, and a plain hoodie that had seen better days. His shoulders were tired, not weak, tired in the way only single parents understand. The kind of tired that comes from late nights, early mornings, and loving someone more than yourself with no backup. Daniel stood in the waiting area of a large military medical center. He was there for his daughter, Lily, who was 8 years old and fighting a long illness with more bravery than most adults ever show. He had stepped aside to take a call, his voice low, respectful. "Yes, sir," he said softly. "I understand. I'll be there if needed." That was when the Admiral overheard him. Rear Admiral Claire Whitmore. A legend in her own right. First woman in her unit to reach that rank. Respected. Feared. Used to command rooms without trying. She noticed Daniel's posture, the way he spoke, and then she heard the voice on the other end say clearly, "Copy that, Iron Ghost." Claire raised an eyebrow and smiled, amused. When Daniel ended the call, she couldn't help herself. "Iron Ghost," she said, crossing her arms. "That's an interesting call sign. Doesn't quite match the outfit." A few nearby officers chuckled politely. Daniel felt the heat rush to his face. He didn't argue. He didn't explain. He simply nodded. "It's just a name, ma'am," he said calmly. She shrugged. "I've heard a lot of call signs. That one sounds like someone trying too hard." Daniel could have snapped back. He could have dropped titles, stories, medals. But instead, he glanced down the hallway where his daughter's room was and said nothing. Kindness held his tongue. Minutes passed. Then a nurse approached the Admiral, whispering urgently. Claire's expression changed. "There's been an issue," the nurse said. "The child in room 314, her father, command is asking for him. Immediately." Daniel looked up. "That's my daughter." Claire frowned. "Command?" The nurse nodded. "Yes, ma'am. They said. Iron Ghost is authorized." The room shifted. Claire turned slowly toward Daniel. "Excuse me," she said. Daniel stood, his voice steady but gentle. "Ma'am, may I pass?" She stepped aside, confusion written all over her face, and followed him down the hall without realizing she was doing it. Inside the room, Lily lay in bed, pale but smiling when she saw her dad. Daniel took her hand and brushed her hair back. "Hey, Bug," he said softly. "I'm here." A uniformed officer entered moments later and snapped to attention, not to the Admiral, but to Daniel. "Sir," the officer said, respectfully. "We didn't realize you were on site." The call sign triggered an alert. "Iron Ghost is still active in our system." Claire felt her chest tighten. Daniel exhaled slowly. "I told them I wasn't on duty anymore. I'm just a dad now." The officer nodded. "Understood, sir. But protocols are protocols." Claire finally found her voice. "What's going on?" she asked. The officer turned, surprised. "Ma'am, this is Daniel Reed." Former SEAL. Call sign Iron Ghost. Solo extraction specialist. Saved 12 men during Operation Silent Break. Declared Kia after the mission. He walked out 3 days later with survivors. Silence filled the room. Claire's face drained of color. She looked at Daniel, really looked this time. The calm. The humility. The kindness. You were. Iron Ghost, she whispered. Daniel nodded once. A long time ago. And you didn't say anything, she asked. He smiled faintly. Didn't seem important. Claire swallowed hard. I mocked you. I know, he said gently. It's okay. No anger. No pride. Just grace. Claire stepped back, emotion rising in her throat. I judged you, she said. I saw clothes. I heard a name. And I assumed. Daniel looked at his daughter, then back at her. Happens every day. What matters is what we do next. Later that evening, Claire stood outside the hospital room. She watched Daniel help Lily with her homework, laughing softly when she got an answer wrong. This man who had faced death without flinching now celebrated spelling words like they were victories. Claire approached him quietly. I owe you more than an apology, she said. Daniel shook his head. Kindness isn't a debt. It's a choice. She nodded, tears in her eyes. You reminded me why I joined in the first place. Weeks later, Claire made sure Lily received special care support. Not as a favor. As a responsibility. And every time she spoke to young officers after that, she told them one thing. Never mock a name you don't understand. And never forget that the strongest people often carry the softest hearts. Daniel never returned to service. He didn't need the recognition. His mission had changed. His world was smaller now, but fuller. And somewhere deep inside the system, the call sign Iron Ghost remained, not as a symbol of fear, but as a reminder that real strength walks quietly, loves deeply, and chooses kindness even when it would be easier not to. If this story touched you, let it remind you that kindness can stop even the strongest in their tracks. Carry it with you. Share it. And be the light someone else didn't know they needed.